Hi, and thanks for listening to our employment law and HR legislation update today, where we'll be discussing shared parental leave. So most of you already know who we are, but for those of you who don't, so we're a trusted market leader in payroll and HR solutions for UK businesses. The areas that we cover, broadly speaking, are payroll and HR, but as you can see from the wheel on the screen, that's split down into various different services, so things such as health and safety consultation, HR and employment law advice, background checking, auto-enrolment, payroll, and much more. So if you do want to find out a bit more about the services that we offer and how we can help your company, if you visit morepay.co.uk or give us a call and we can go through it with you. So now I'm going to pass you over to your presenter for the day, who will be Linda Arrowsmith.
Okay, hi, I'm Linda Arrowsmith. I work here at MorePay Advice Line as an employment law consultant. I've worked here for 5 years, and before that I worked for a major fuels marketing company as a HR advisor. I work here as part of a team that helps deal with employment law advice issues, and my personal specialisms are compensation and benefits policy and maternity policies. Today, here's our agenda. We're going to cover recent employment law changes, what is shared parental leave, applying for leave, eligibility, what happens during leave, benefits for the employee and employer, what employers need to do, and some new legislation around grandparent leave. So recent employment law changes. ACAS have introduced 2 new sets of guidance notes from January 15. They're not legally binding as per the disciplinary and grievance guidance notes. However, they may be useful for the employers in the workplace. The first one being how to conduct investigations in the workplace. As an employment law advisor, it's a fundamental part of any employment law issue that you conduct a valid investigation. So hopefully these guidance notes will go some way to support employers in how to deal with their employees in disciplinary and grievance situations. They've also published some guidance notes on how to deal with illegal ties. It's easier to deal with an illegal entity because you know it's against the law, so that's fine, but illegal ties, what do employers do? Is it wrong for them to be high on illegal products? Who knows? You know, it's one of these things. I would say as an advisor, an employee shouldn't be in the workplace under the influence of any legal substance or illegal substance. But ACAS has also introduced a set of guidance notes to help employers deal with it. Also, from the 1st of April 2016, the government have introduced what they call now the national living wage. It's been around for a few years now, but they're now actually making it mandatory. So from the 1st of April 2016, employers are employing workers over the age of 25, so 25 and above, will now be paid a minimum of £7.20 an hour, which is 50% more than the top limit of the national minimum wage. This is going to have a major impact, I think, on a lot of employers, and, you know, we don't know what the results are going to be in relation to employing younger workers, older workers, age discrimination claims. It'll be interesting to see, but it's definitely coming in from April 2016. Another pay-related update in 2016 is the increased tax and personal tax allowance. So employees can now earn up to £11,000 before they pay tax, and the higher rate threshold is being increased to £43,000. This is obviously a case-by-case basis because each employee will have their own tax allowance, but this is the basic entitlement. And that's from the beginning of the tax year, the 6th of April 2016. The government are also looking to introduce a mandatory gender pay gap reporting process. So what the government wants to do is they want employers who employ 250 or more employees to provide statistics on what they're paying their employees. and it's to try and bridge that pay gap between male and females, or to see if there even is a pay gap, you know. It may be that there isn't a pay gap. It may be, you know, that people are on the same pay, but employers may in the future have to report on it. The consultation of this is going to end in September 2016, so it's a watch this space thing. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Okay, so what is shared parental leave? It's a basic right that is going to be, and it's 50 weeks leave that a person can take. So what would happen is a maternity leaver can transfer a maximum of 50 weeks of their leave over to the non-birth partner. It's also that in the case of adoption, they can transfer the adoption leave from the non-primary adopter to the other parent. So they can share the maximum 50 weeks of leave and 37 weeks of statutory shared parental pay. This leave can be taken as a continuous period or at different times throughout the year. It should be taken in blocks of complete weeks, and it can run consecutively or concurrently. So both parents can take time off at the same time, or they can stagger it so they're off at different times throughout the year. A mother doesn't have to actually bring her maternity leave to an end, or a primary adopter doesn't have to bring their leave to an end in order to transfer the rights for leave over to the other parent. All they have to do is give binding notice of their intention to return to work on a certain date for that leave to start. So applying for leave. An employee must give at least 8 weeks notice in writing of their intention to take the leave, and that is 8 weeks prior to the date of the intended leave is being due to start. Which is, it's reflective of a maternity leave or an adopter's requirement to give 8 weeks notice to bring their leave to an end. This can be done in writing via letter or email, just any way your employer or you as an employer would like to accept that information. Employees can make up to 3 requests for leave. An employer can't refuse a request for a continuous block of shared parental leave. However, if you do receive a request for discontinuous or multiple periods of shared parental leave, you can reject that request. As an employer, it may be worth meeting with your employee to try and agree a way forward, a way to accommodate their request. It may be that the start date may just be tweaked by a couple of days, but it may be worth meeting at that point to agree a way forward, because if the employee just goes away from the rejection and says, well, actually, I'll just take the full 50 weeks, an employer has to allow that 50-week block to be taken. So, like I said, it may be worth meeting if you cannot accommodate the request, if they're making discontinuous or multiple period requests, because we cannot reject a total one single block of leave. Okay, eligibility. So to qualify for shared parental leave, a parent has to share the responsibility for the child, and then the other parent, their partner, must be entitled to maternity or adoption pay or maternity allowance. So they must be entitled to maternity, adoption pay leave, or maternity allowance. They also must have 26 weeks service by the 15th week prior to the expected week of childbirth, or the date matching with the child. So what you do is you get the expected week of childbirth from the MAP B1 form. You count back 15 weeks from that date, and then you count back 26 weeks, and that will give you the date in which they should be employed to have the entitlement. They also must remain with the employer for the duration of the leave. So if your employee leaves in the middle of taking a block of shared parental leave, the right to take that leave stops at that point. It doesn't transfer over to another employer. So if somebody comes to you and says, well, actually, I was on shared parental leave with my employer before, I want to take the rest of it, and they're not allowed to do that. That's not allowed. To qualify for shared parental leave, the employee also must be entitled to statutory maternity pay or statutory adoption pay. An employee may also be entitled to statutory paternity pay, or the partner entitled to statutory maternity pay, maternity allowance, or adoption pay. It is a complicated calculation, and if you do have payroll with us, contact us. We'll help you with the calculations. If you don't have payroll with us, if you contact us on the advice line and you take employment law advice from us, we'll also help you with the calculations. If you don't take either lots of advice from us, we don't do your payroll and we don't give you employment law advice, it may be worth contacting our sales team and see where we can help you. So what happens during leave? So during leave, parents have the right to take parental leave in touch days. They can take, with agreement from the employer, up to 20 days each. Now this is 20 days per parent. So it's not that both parents can share 20 leave, it's 20 days leave each. These days must be taken with agreement from both parties. So the employer must agree the need for the time in work, and the employee must agree to come into work. If either party doesn't agree to it, then it shouldn't happen. Shared parental pay is currently paid at a rate of £139.58, which is a statutory rate. This generally does increase every year. This will be covered on our employment law updates. Or they do get 90% of their average weekly earnings, whichever's lower. They must also, to be entitled to it, earn the lower earnings limit of £112 per week in the 8 weeks prior to the 15th week before the expected week of childbirth. So again, from the MAP B1, if you count back from the date of the expected week of childbirth, you count back 15 weeks, in the 8 weeks or the 2 months prior to that date, they must earn at least £112 per week. Holidays do accrue as normal during shared parental leave, so it's worth noting if your employee has got a lot of accrued holidays and they're going off on a period of shared parental leave that may cross a holiday year, they will still be entitled to take that leave on their return to work. So in that case, I would ensure that an appropriate number of holidays are taken before they go off, and that you discuss the taking of any accrued leave at the end of the shared parental leave. So benefits for the employee and the employer. So the benefits are that both parents can take the leave at the same time. Historically, the birth parent was left holding the baby and the non-birth parent went back to work. Hopefully this set of leave will enhance the family and allow them to take time off at the same time. It also has a financial benefit for the couple in that if the birth parent or the primary adopter earns more than the non-birth parent or the non-primary adopter, they can transfer that leave over to the other parent, and that obviously can have a financial impact on the family at a time where you need the money the most. It can help the non-birth parent build better bonds with the child, because them first years are the formative years, and if you've had your 2 weeks paternity leave and you've gone back to work, you do miss out a lot. Babies change daily at the start of their life, so hopefully it can help with that bonding and encourage a healthy work-life balance. It can also result in a shorter time off work for the birth parent or the primary doctor, which is a big benefit for the employer. So if both parents work for you, then that it may not be that it's as big a benefit, but if only the primary doctor or the birth parent work for you and they transfer some of that leave over to somebody that isn't your employee, that can have a big benefit for you as an employer. Also, these 20 parental in leave touch days, that's not easy to say, parental leave in touch days, that mean that employees can spend more time in the workplace during the leave, so they're not missing out on as much, and you don't come back to work on your first day after 52 weeks leave, and there's been loads of changes and you're not up to date. So it means that we've got more time to get people updated, and so they're not really missing out on much while they've been away. So what employers need to do? For me, the first thing employers need to do is ensure that any company policy does cover leave. If you're already a client with us, we will have already done an annual review, hopefully, since this has been put into practice, which was April last year. If not, you may be coming up to a review, and it will be something that we are including. If you don't have us doing your documentation, you need your documentation reviewing, contact us on the number on the slide, and it is something that we will support you with. You should also train your managers in how to deal with requests for this leave, because I've lost track as an advisor of the number of calls I've had from managers who don't know that we have even paternity leave, which, you know, it's been out for a long time. They don't know how to deal with requests for maternity leave. Please train your managers in how to deal with the request, or if you don't train them, give them access to us. If you already have our advice, you give them access to the employment law advice line. We will talk them through step by step on how to deal with requests for leave. We would always advise you to take advice if you're not showing eligibility, because no one wants a disgruntled employee making a discrimination claim. So again, if you're already our clients, please give us a call, take advice, and then you know that you're giving the right information to your employee. When considering and rejecting applications for the discontinuous leave, please be fair and consistent. Keep a record of when you've rejected it, so that when another application comes through, you can refer back to your file saying rejections for family-friendly leave, or just have something there that you can refer back to so you know what you did in the past, and then you can know what to apply in the future. And then finally, I would always advise that if you already pay enhanced maternity pay or enhanced paternity pay, that you do extend this to shared parental pay, because it could help avoid the risk of any discrimination claims. So for any assistance at all dealing with any of these issues, just give us a call on the number on the slide. Now, something that's in the pipeline, it's not been introduced, is the government is extending or wants to extend the current shared parental leave rights to grandparents. As an advisor on the advice line, I do get lots of applications for flexible working from grandparents who share the responsibility of childcare with their children. And hopefully this will have a positive effect and take some pressure off the parents. Especially if your employee, given the removal of the retirement age, the statutory retirement age, grandparents are working longer. So hopefully by introducing this, grandparents may take a more active role in the sharing of childcare and transfer some of that leave onto grandparents. Now this is expected to be in place by 2018. But it's a watch this space thing. Anything can change, so please take part in our webinars or give the advice line a call for any updates to legislation. Okay. So that's the end of our presentation today as such. We do actually supply additional employment law, payroll type updates. We have a monthly employment law, HR legislation update, as well as the webinar that goes out on a monthly basis to all clients. That is available online. We also have payroll and tax facts updates. Payroll legislation guide, much the same as the updates that I've just gone through with you now. That goes out on a monthly basis. And then we also have a payroll calendar that is available online. If you click on the link on the slide, that will take you to the content. You can also connect with MorePay online. You can connect on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. There is a phone number and there is an email address there. If you've got any questions and you're not already clients, we will be happy to help. So thank you for your time today. I hope you find it useful, and I'll look forward to seeing you on future webinars. Thank you. Bye.